Do you want to go running with me this afternoon? Oh, or you can't? That's fine. Hey, yeah, I know, long time no talk. Well, it's a gorgeous day out. I thought we maybe hit the trails and yeah. 3 miles? Oh, too much? I know, I hate running too. Hey, it's me calling again. I just wondered if you would like to go running because, hello? Hello? So when nobody else is available, I always have him. Hey guys, I'm Jessica from P.S Talks. Welcome back to my channel. So for my second episode, I wanted to talk to you about something that's really important to me. I've been a runner for years, and one of the things that comes up a lot is safety. I watch a lot of SVU and cop shows, and I think as females we're sort of programmed to be fearful of literally everything: men, other families, cars, being alone in general. So that's why I thought getting a dog would be a smart thing to do, because a dog, a particularly athletic one, would always be ready to exercise with you, would always be ready to run, and honestly, even though dogs aren't always aware of what's going on, they don't always sense danger, I feel that they still provide a buffer. What would you rather do, run in the woods by yourself or run with a dog? I should have brought a blanket out here because this grass is rough. So I want to share with you and teach you some great running tips and how to run with a dog, especially since it can be kind of awkward like this. Wait! You forgot your leash! I have 6 tips to share with you, and here they are. Let's go over them one by one. So the first thing to consider when running with a dog is not every single dog wants to run with you or should run with you. Pop quiz. Out of the 2 dogs shown here, which one is best suited for running? So think about the build of your dog. If you have a dog, don't just assume that they can run because they happen to be high energy. Dogs have to have a certain body type for running. They have to be able to breathe. Cute dogs like pugs, their noses are much flatter, so they take in air a lot differently than my little guy here. Tip number 2, you need to have the right type of harness and leash. When my husband and I first adopted Jarvis, he was a puller, and what I mean is he would just yank on the leash constantly because I guess he never really had a good owner before, so he'd never been leash trained properly. So what we did was we purchased this harness right here. This harness is actually quite nifty because it can hook both at the back and in his front, and actually allows for a much more graceful walk, as when he does see a squirrel or when he decides to just hop over to the side to sniff something, it doesn't choke him. The leash that we use has a comfort grip, and it's made of this bungee material that, as you can see, it's a little bit bouncy. I think that's better because you have a little bit less resistance and it's much easier on your elbow joints and all of that good stuff. Tip number 3 is to pick a side. Yep, that's right, it's okay to pick a side in this situation. I always run with Jarvis to my left side. If he's always on the left side, it will prevent him from bobbing and weaving or trying to run out in front of me. He has no desire to run directly in front of me or dart over to the right, and I really do think it has something to do with just having the proper harness and the proper leash, because otherwise it would be kind of a headache. He has tripped me one time, but it was only because there was a flock of birds in our neighborhood, and of course he got amped up about that. Yes, that was a little bit rough, but those were the early days. Tip number 4 is useful for both you and your little dog. You must bring water, especially on these hot days, especially after a long distance run. Sometimes I like to let Jarvis drink out of our local creek because I do trust that water. However, bringing a little pop-up bowl like this is always nice. Dogs might sometimes be tougher than us, but they need water too. And if you notice your dog's tongue hanging to the ground or if he's panting, yes, they need a water break. Tip number 5. Check the dog's paws. Check your dog's paws, especially if you're running on coarse grass or in a field or on a trail where sharp rocks are sticking up. A dog can actually hurt the pads of his paws, and as a dog, they don't really notify you all the time when they are injured. Dogs want to please you. They don't always yelp and whine and complain like humans can do. So I've noticed that Jarvis has actually had a cut or two on Jarvis has actually gotten a cut on his paw, and the first time it happened we failed to notice it, and thus it actually got a little bit infected and I felt horrible. So lesson learned, always check your dog's paws, even if they have the slightest little nick on them that can actually get worse and begin bleeding and continue bleeding. So you have to wrap it up. Yeah, always a good thing to do. Last but not least, make sure you always check your dog for ticks. Here in the southeast, ticks are abundant, especially these days. Recently he had a tick right here, and I just felt terrible and disgusting. Actually, one of our neighbors noticed it and she saved the day, so thanks Jackie if you're watching this. Check for ticks. We actually use rubbing alcohol to help disinfect the possible infection, so always a good idea. Be sure to stay tuned for the final running with Jarvis and his girlfriend. Emmy is an awesome dog, and yes, she is the definite candidate for running. However, her leash makes it more difficult, and she's definitely more of a jumper and a puller. So a dog like her would take a lot more work, probably some professional training too. I might want to add that I, of course, am not a dog trainer, I'm not a vet, but I just wanted to share some things with you guys and let you know about my experience. And if you're thinking about getting a dog to run with, I applaud you.